The Forza community has been asking for a game set in Japan for over a decade. That request has finally been fulfilled. Absolutely everyone is hyped. People that don't play racing games are excited and ready to see what Playground Games has cooked up for us. The community at large is ready to collectively emigrate from Mexico and take the virtual trip to the birthplace of Tokei racing. But before we do all that, I thought it was worth taking a little pit stop in Houston to potentially provide the soundtrack for tuning, downhill battles, and C1 loop showdowns that you didn't know you needed. Open world driving games have always had a special relationship with music, even in the very beginnings of the PS2 era, with the Grand Theft Auto games, Midnight Club, Tokyo Extreme Racer, Driver, and Need for Speed. All of these games have their own unique structure, composition, and selected genres of music, and that sonic element is inseparable from the titles they're attached to, along with the memories created along the way. We're now separated from the release of the PS2 by more than 25 years. Music and technology are now unrecognizable from the forms they once bore. At an individual level, music is essentially free now, making it easy to insert your own cultivated playlist into whatever memories you create in the virtual world. And while Forza Horizon 6 has its own soundtrack, and a fairly well-crafted one at that, most of us will inevitably discard it in favor of our own curation, using it to amend and embellish the Japanese automotive playground that's been delivered to us. Matching a musical project to Horizon 6's otherworldly hype, eclectic visual presence, subdued yet essential campaign, and constantly alternating pace is a tall task, even for Playground Games themselves. Arcade racing chaos and peaceful escapism coexist within the same virtual environment, often with little time spent transitioning between the two. There are very few artists capable of complementing both the intensity of a downhill battle and the atmosphere of a quiet nighttime cruise through a barricaded rendition of Shibuya, especially across one cohesive project. But the moment that Forza Horizon 6 was revealed to be set in Japan, there was one name that came to mind instantly. This is Lester Matthews, better known as Les. Les is a master of perception. Putting out a successful mixtape is one thing. Building a discography that spans over 15 years and 50 projects is something else entirely. On one hand, he is forever indebted to the city that's hosted, shaped, and supported him. Ending up on the same tracks as Bun B and Slim Thug is nothing if not standard fare for an artist fully embraced by the city of Houston. On the other hand, naming projects after racing game franchises, factory paint colors, and multiple BMW chassis codes not only suggests, but insists that he is one of us. This is not an underground artist with a passion for cars. This is a certified enthusiast that just so happens to have previous connections to the Boss Hog Outlaws and Jet Life, both of which are organized and led by well-respected artists that share the same enthusiasm for anything loud and fast. I wanted in the worst way to make a full retrospective covering Les's discography and relationship with automotive culture. But I don't think I can do that subject justice, and a lot of that comes down to preservation. Mixtape distribution in the early stages of his career was messy, and a surprising amount of music from that era has either become difficult to trace or disappeared entirely. Most of his catalog is still accessible in some form, but some early projects, and even a few music videos, may have been lost to time. On top of that, I'm not close enough to the culture to confidently present myself as an authority on it. I was in middle school during the release of the earliest Les projects, and the last thing I want to do is misremember details or accidentally rewrite history as an unreliable archivist. So, in lieu of that, I've picked out 3 of my favorite projects that you can listen to right now on Spotify while you explore and conquer Japan.
Show him the D, man. Show him the D. This ain't for Dodge, bitch.
It's for Durango.
It's not for Dodge, nor Durango, no Dakota. I was gonna say something else, but it ain't for that either.
The beginning of Catalina Wine Mixer opens with a clip from Step Brothers before falling into a slowed down, almost eerie jazz sample. It becomes very clear, very quickly, that this is not going to be a typical hip-hop record, especially for a project released in 2017. There's a heightened sense of emotion and weight from another time buried in the instrumental. And while Les brings a bold, calculated energy to the track that should seemingly overpower the relatively modest instrumentation, somehow the orchestration of Prestige Worldwide really is the focal point and provides the vast majority of atmosphere on tap. And while visually and thematically it has the least in connection with automotive culture of the 3 albums on display, we don't even make it 2 minutes into the tape before Les casually mentions that
clicking and dragging your shit to the can while they be blasting my shit in Japan. Damn.
Like clockwork. Lyrically, the project puts Les on the offensive far more than usual, and I'll talk more about why that might be later, but this was around the time that he really transitioned from being an auxiliary artist tied to past labels into someone standing completely on his own as an independent. The pressure of that transition can be felt throughout the record. That bold but necessary ego bleeds through and frames the project in an anxious, down-to-earth light that's especially rare for the genre. Fancy Sauce brings more of the same energy, slowly rolling out with a high pass and another wonderful piano sample. Exactly the kind of music that perfectly complements the quiet moments between races as you take in the Japanese countryside. Structurally, it exhibits restraint, something that is often misunderstood and undervalued, especially on projects like this. Between the experimental production work, Les's outward confidence, and the subtle layer of anxiety sitting underneath everything, the album flows in such a way that makes it not just functional, but impressively palatable to the ears. It's atmospheric, without becoming distracting. Even at its most layered, the Catalina wine mixer rarely feels cluttered, part of why it works so well for virtual cruising. Another recurring theme throughout the album is the relationship between faith, self-belief, and personal responsibility. Les constantly references prayer and spirituality, but usually alongside reminders that belief alone isn't enough. Part of being a man is using the tools at your disposal, and especially your mind, to make things happen. The third track, Nico Tosani, has by far the most ear candy on tap thus far, and Les sort of drifts into the dawn of the verse rather than having a typical beat drop, once again letting the production do the legwork as he riffs on about what the future holds. Like the previous track, this one also has a quiet interlude where he mentions that the instrumental sounds like a Ferrari Testarossa, and whatever substance you might typically find in the glove compartment of said vehicle. Night Vision Goggles, Nighthawk, and Catalina all have very mellow production that makes for great car show background noise. I think that the importance of mixing restraint is understated in a post-Rick Rubin world where everything is engineered to be compressed out and loud as possible. These tracks do a fantastic job of enhancing the atmosphere, nothing more, nothing less. Zebra Cakes, as with some of the other tracks, carries an energy not unlike Adult Swim, brought in here by that playful, silly intro riffing that parodies what I can only assume is some morning show interview, and that beautiful Bad Bad Not Good sample breaks through like the sun cresting over the horizon, absolutely being one of the highest highs on the entire album. And while he's done a decent job of hiding it thus far, the car enthusiast side of Les starts to materialize, punctuated by one of the most oddly specific, yet perfectly delivered lines on the album.
Still stacking up that dough slow, making sure the team stays solid as a Volvo.
And to round things off, both Shark Week and Drum Set have a beat switch in their respective tracks, piling on additional unnecessary, but very appreciated texture and warmth that carry a similar vibe and feel to the third and final album I'll be bringing up. Drum Set in particular goes through multiple emotional transformations over the course of a single track. It shifts from desolate to gloomy, almost doom-esque boom bap, to once again letting the beat ride during an exceptionally emotional sample, creating a sense of longing that you'd never expect from a Houstonian-produced hip-hop record. And as much as I enjoy the pacing, atmosphere, and personality of the Catalina wine mixer, in my opinion, it only gets better from here. But before getting into the next project, I think it's worth taking a step back and talking about Les himself, and more importantly, the circumstances leading up to it that made these records possible.
Put a message in a bottle, baby. Put a message in a bottle, bitch. A message in a bottle, a message in a bottle. Put a message.
Les was approaching almost a decade since leaving a comfortable job in Dallas and returning to Houston to pursue a career in music when the Catalina wine mixer came to fruition. Not quite 30 yet, the musical, lyrical content, and overall project polish had reached an all-time career high. Les became part of the Boss Hog Outlaws very shortly after his first public project debut, Settle for Less, at the very end of 2009. And while those early tapes are listenable and appealing to that Houston audience, 2013 was when Les showed us who he really is. The 2 tapes that followed, as far as I can tell, were fully under his creative control during that time period between the Boss Hog Outlaws and his stint with Jet Life. And while the cover art makes it clear immediately, everything about the music is purely targeted for an audience that cares less about classics or foreigns and more about 3-piece wheels sitting on coilovers and whether or not you can heel toe in the corners. Though at times you can tell these 2 tapes are a product of their era, it greatly expanded the overlap between tuner car culture and the online mixtape audience. For a few short years after that, Les teamed up with Currency and became part of the Jet Life Collective, releasing a handful of projects during that time. Both of these artists were, and still are, known for 2 things: a relentless work ethic and a passion for cars. Not even that, an obsession that transcends the average mixtape listener's automotive pedigree. Currency has long been one of hip-hop's most recognizable automotive enthusiasts, and his social presence displays an unusually down-to-earth portrayal of what enjoying the culture looks like. This is a uniquely passionate perspective for someone with a net worth between 5 to 10 million and a garage that includes Ferraris, Bentleys, and a Rolls Royce or 2. He's way more proud of the C5 pace car and the classic AMGs with the tape deck though, judging by what he posts on Instagram. Where the Boss Hog Outlaws put Les in a creative box that required a style that emulated contemporary Texan hip-hop, Jet Life felt more like a room with an unlocked door. While Les certainly made more stoner-centric music and took advantage of what connections and image the Louisiana-based operation bestowed, the projects produced during that time felt like a natural progression in terms of theme and flow, rather than a total departure from Gran Turismo. All in all, the partnership allowed Les to grow as an artist, gave him exposure to the right audience, while staying true to the steak and shrimp philosophy and the core audience that brought him there in the first place. But nothing lasts forever, and eventually Les outgrew the label and decided to go independent to build the steak and shrimp brand on his own terms. This would once again give him full creative control of his music. Fast forward 2 years and a half dozen projects since leaving Jet Life, and you arrive at the release of Trouble in Paradise.
We were comparing creativity to concept, and his was techno-violent, and mine was Gran Turismo.
But notice, okay, now to cut you off, 'cause I had to tell this to a fan the other day, and they were like, "Why you not doing no more steak and shrimps?" This shit limits my creativity. Y'all keep me in a box with that sound that's not really my sound. Like, I'm not, no disrespect to the sound, I love it, it's fun, I did it. It got me into, I don't want to say it got me into the game, 'cause E36 is what made me become, like, the solo artist that I am. I just came in as a Boss Hog Outlaw. Y'all, my first collaboration with any rapper in my life was me and Crit. The E36, Techno Violet, Gran Turismo, Midnight Club, Realm, like that is more of me really, even Trouble in Paradise, because honestly Trouble in Paradise was leading up to be Gran Turismo too. It was just like, I'm messing with these bikes right now. If you listen to the music and you put that on a playlist with Gran Turismo and E36, guarantee you it flows.
Yep.
Might be Benadryl. We don't know. The lady said, "Man, I bought it." She said what? She said.
I had to go through about 5 projects to decide which ones to pick out for this video. I wouldn't have had to if I looked at the track list for Trouble in Paradise first. Backroads, 6-speed, lo-fi. There's literally a track called Japan on this album, and that video was shot in Japan on the first of many trips that the Steak and Shrimp family has taken over there. While this project released less than a year after the Catalina wine mixer, you can tell that there was significant growth during that time. The lingering sense of anxiety that quietly sat beneath Catalina's lyrics and production is almost entirely absent. In its place is a newfound sense of tranquility. The music feels more comfortable, more confident, and far less concerned with proving anything to anyone. That shift was probably intentional. Around the time of this release, Les was deep into a Harley-Davidson phase, and motorcycles have long been associated with a sense of freedom and escape. Whether that influence directly shaped the music or not, Trouble in Paradise sounds like an artist who has finally stopped looking over his shoulder and started enjoying the ride. Like the Catalina wine mixer before it, Trouble in Paradise opens with another clip pulled from popular media, this time borrowing from Season 7 of Sons of Anarchy. This is one of the most well-known quotes from the show, and it sets the tone perfectly as the keys in the opening track fade in. Forward Motion is an easygoing track with a hook and vibe that lends itself well to cruising, much like with the previously mentioned project. The difference is that here, the energy is much more upbeat and doesn't feel as lonely as some of the more emotionally charged tracks on Catalina. Japan, the second track on the album, flips the vibes upside down. While much of Trouble in Paradise is relaxed and introspective, this is probably the closest Les came to making a genuinely mainstream adjacent record during the first decade of his career. The production once again plays a huge role in that. The instrumental combines another mystical, almost dreamlike sample with a drum pattern that feels noticeably more contemporary than much of the album surrounding it. The result is a track that retains the atmosphere and personality that defines Les's music, while still feeling accessible to new listeners. Fall from Grace picks up exactly where Forward Motion leaves off. The production remains understated, built around a depreciated piano and a restrained drum loop that allows the atmosphere to do most of the talking. Les delivers some mild, but not overstimulating lines that blur into a bridge reminiscent of Bone Thugs, all the while discussing the process of maturing and not getting distracted on the way towards stardom, wealth, or peace, depending on how you interpret it, and following that up with the struggle of staying true to oneself along that path. The Mad King takes things in a slightly different direction. The instrumental is built around a loop sample from a 1960s Italian film score, left largely untouched, layered beneath more modern-sounding snares and hi-hats. While the sample itself isn't especially obscure, having appeared on multiple Currency records, it provides the foundation for one of the most luxurious and dreamlike instrumentals on the entire album. Everything on this track sounds superbly tight and cohesive, and that includes the flow provided on top of everything else. If any of the songs on the album deserved a video, it's this one. The back half of the project has a distinctly different style of production. PM to AM, Dawn, and Backroads would feel right at home being shuffled in with any of the pre-Jet Life post-Boss Hogg mixtapes, or even on a playlist besides Larry June and Dom Kennedy. The energy here is noticeably less ambitious and far more content. This portion of the album is 100% low cortisol, couch lock, plug in the PS2 N64 Dreamcast, slow down and enjoy life right now in the present tense music. And lo-fi brings it all full circle, serving as the perfect outro track. Les gives us 3 minutes of cooldown on top of Nujabes-inspired production, void of the modern drum loops that were present for the majority of the album. The lyrics become more personal here, and rather than focusing on ambition, success, or the future, Les reflects on his grandmother's spirituality and making his mother proud while revisiting the give it all you got mentality that helped carry him to this point in his career. Seeing as how important the production side of the project is, it's odd that I can't find a definitive answer on who produced which tracks, aside from Japan. Discogs list Todd, Happy Perez, and a couple other names I don't recognize, while Google sometimes spouts that it's a DJ Mr. Rogers produced album. While Rogers has produced multiple projects for Les, I don't think that this is one of them. The first half of the album leans heavily into the mystical samples, patient pacing, and dreamy atmosphere that's most likely Todd's work, while the back half shifts towards a more coastal, easygoing sound reminiscent of projects like Gran Turismo and Techno Violet. Whether that division reflects different producers, different creative goals, or some combination of the two, it's one of the reasons the album manages to feel varied whilst retaining a unique identity amongst a handful of albums Les put out in those few short years. And Lo-Fi, the last track on the album and by far the most popular on Spotify, was probably Todd too.
You know, I want to say the large canvas we had with the Band-Aid in the middle that said "Healing the Nothingness" was genius in my opinion. I think people missed that. It went over their head. But
Todd's online on Facebook. Todd's a Black Klansman.
Why not? First off,
Trouble in Paradise has the widest variety of musical charm of the three projects discussed today, and ultimately appeals to the widest audience. That variety in this case comes from the production itself. As with most hip-hop records, the instrumentals that hold everything together make or break the listening experience, and this album benefited from having multiple contributors behind the boards. As previously stated, it brings variation to the music and keeps things fresh. But the few of you in the know understand that I haven't picked these projects out at random. While Trouble in Paradise was only partially produced by Todd Lewis, better known as Things with Todd, both the Catalina Wine Mixer and Chico were largely, if not entirely, shaped by his creative vision. The dusty samples, simplistic yet sensible loop chops, and novel, intentional mixing of the drums and 808s combine to bring out a sound that's been very rarely explored, especially from this side of the genre. While Les may be on the thumbnail of the video, Todd Lewis and his creative force behind this trio of projects as the real impetus of the story.
Who is Todd? Who is Todd? Todd is a person that does things. No, Todd's just hanging out. Todd's just hanging out and doing things.
Revisiting the aforementioned projects after forgetting about them for the better part of a decade made it impossible to ignore the vision and artistry operating behind the scenes. I don't even know where to start. Todd has always been an innovator, first and foremost, but his talent doesn't just lie in production. He could be described as a personality, a director, a visual artist, or an elite curator depending on who you ask. That diversified experience makes everything he works on feel special. Todd originally hails from Beaumont, Texas, getting his start in music after making friends at the University of Houston and putting out an EP as one quarter of the Nice Guys Collective. Interestingly enough, that project, The Green Room, predates Les's first project by about 3 days. The resulting music fits somewhere between Lupe Fiasco and Odd Future. The vast majority of their catalog would sound right at home on the Skate 3 soundtrack. After 2 albums, a handful of leaks, and a feature from both Bun B and Slim Thug, the group's run seemingly ended there.
The Nice Guys was cool. What happened to the group? You know what I mean? Just being real. Like, I mean, we can keep it. It's just, not everybody was 100. Some people were 100. Some people weren't 100. Yeah, it was creative differences. We just grew apart, musically. We're all good, the best of friends today, all of us.
Todd's journey in the public audio-visual space resumes in 2017. By then, Todd had expanded well beyond music production. His original series, appropriately named Things with Todd, showcased the full range of his creative instincts, blending local culture, visual art, and offbeat comedy. Alongside a rotating cast of collaborators and guests, Todd explored Houston through the lens of a self-aware avant-garde host, and the result was something that feels like a toned-down Adult Swim special. That same creative energy carried over into his work with Les. The back half of 2017 saw the release of both the Catalina Wine Mixer and Chico, with the former being released as an album with an accompanied short film. And it was a busy time for Les too. That disconnect from Jet Life forced the issue, and in turn, he managed to put together 4 complete projects that year, including Midnight Club, which ended up being his most popular and well-received album up to that point, and very well may be one of his best-selling projects to date. And while it is a charming, catchy, and supremely replayable record, it's lacking the emotion and patience that the Things with Todd produced projects have.
Your shorts are resting mid-thigh. I don't feel comfortable at all.
No, they're not mid-thigh.
How far are we?
We are about 6 minutes out.
So it's close enough for me to get out and walk, right?
I'm just gonna go ahead and give you this gift.
It's an empty goddamn box, dog.
No, it's not.
It's an empty goddamn box. So there is something that we actually have in common today.
Possible diving.
He said I had it. We're actually both wearing girl shoes today. I'm not gonna dap you up on that.
He was happy.
Chico was the last project that Les dropped in 2017, and you can tell. No features, no videos, by far the least amount of streams of the 3 projects here. The steak and shrimp machine was out of gas, understandably so. This project barely beat the buzzer, releasing on the last Friday of the year. But that lack of energy, that level of creative exhaustion, unintentionally helped create something rare and unique. Les lays down lyrics in a slightly different fashion than he would on most tapes. There's no lyrical miracle content to be found here. I'm not going to say that he phones it in by any means, but it's not hard to follow along. He sounds tired across the entire tape. Todd works his magic here too, and with much less prudence than in the Catalina Wine Mixer. There are times where the bass completely floods out the mix, but it's done so infrequently that those moments are most likely intentional. The drums are punchier, and it feels like Todd was building the orchestration less for an audience and more for his own entertainment. Chico has this strange vibe that feels exactly like pulling an all-nighter to finish a paper that you've had months to work on. I wish I could listen to this project for the first time again. I would believe you if you told me this is what Martian warehouse employees listen to. It's that disconnected from anything else you can find on Spotify. The emotion that I keep talking about, it's here too. And it's a confusing ride. The majority of the melodies within the track list are in a minor key, and once again tend to be uncomplicated loop chops. That being said, there are a few tracks that do feel like an exhausted, well-earned victory best celebrated with cigars and tall boys as the sun comes up. Admittedly, this project doesn't sound like Japan. It's the least polished of the three, it has the weirdest sample work, and it kind of combines the tranquility of Trouble in Paradise with the atmosphere and production experimentation of the Catalina wine mixer. This tape came out days after I was kicked out, freshman year of college. I had found myself in the middle of Wyoming, riding away 1,300 miles from home, confused about everything, stuck in the dead of winter between Jackson Hole and Casper as a young adult forced to grow up and deal with the world is exactly what this extended play sounds like. Being lost, being stuck on a ride that you don't have any control over, that you just have to deal with. This strange little mixtape is soothing in ways that therapy or drugs never could be. And for that, it's a top 5 of all time for me.